Okay, I'm going to try to record the second half of this. I have usually when I record it's when the kids are all in bed, and that's why I always sound like I'm whispering. But they're awake and definitely feeling better than they did yesterday. My little guy, I think that he's starting to feel bad again. So I'm going to try to make this quick because I think he's going to be wanting to sit on Mama's lap again. Um, well, I was just talking about how how we have a real enemy that does not want us to have victory over this paralyzing addiction of food. And you know, God gives life, and His Word gives us life, and He gives us power to live life abundantly. He has such an incredible. I mean, His plans for us are just full of His love and goodness and success and happiness and I'm not talking about happiness like oh joy, you know, happy kind of happiness. I'm talking about just a total confidence that God is for us and He's got a good plan for us, and the kind of joy. I think joy is a better word probably because happy gives you a conjures up images of smiley faces and things like that, and but joy is something that comes from, you know, the difference between happiness and joy. Joy is is a sense of well-being that comes from within, um, and happiness comes from our circumstances from without. Like you see something, like you see a funny movie and it makes you happy, it makes you smile, or you see your child do something sweet, and it, you know, it makes you happy. You know, but joy comes from within. It's a total peace and confidence, an absolute knowledge that God, even though all my circumstances stink and everything seems out of control, I know that God is good and He's for me and that we'll get through this. And that's Chris, my husband and I, his name is Chris. He and I have kind of been in that place for about 3 or 4 years now where we've gone through a real time of what we call being in the valley or kind of a desert time when, you know, we cannot, by our circumstances, we cannot tell that there is um, that there's a sign of things letting up. And I think a lot of people in our nation are going through this right now. I think that the circumstances look bad. It's kind of scary, and you wonder, are we going to get through this? Are we going to see the other side of this? And what has what excuse me, what my husband and I have discovered in this valley is that even in bad circumstances and in times when it seems like there's no hope or there's no sign of it letting up, that there is still that you just still come back to that understanding that God is for me. Even though it seems like everything else is against me, God is for me. And I know He has a plan for me. And we are going to see the other side because His word is full of promises that we will. Even with my weight, even as bad as it would get, even with the pain I've had, there's been this solid knowledge inside that this is not God's plan for me. And I know that He loves me, and I know that I love Him, and I know that we're going to come out of this at some point. And today is miserable, but I know I can smile on the future because I know that He's out there, or in, He's out there, and He's in here, and He has a plan that's going to bring me out of this valley, out of this desert, out of these circumstances, in His time, and His timing is always perfect. But there's so much to be learned in those circumstances. Now, of course, I've made some choices that have exacerbated the circumstances, um, and with my addiction to food, with the overeating and the lack of exercise. But one thing I've discovered as I've been seeking the way out of this is that you come to a point with your weight where it literally begins to work against you. I heard the most fascinating thing from one of the ARPNs at the weight loss surgery department. She was talking about how central fat cells in the trunk of your body, that they actually produce, at some point they actually start producing hormones. Just a second, someone's here. I might have to do part 3.